Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our daily devotionals this morning. We're in the letter to Philippians. I trust you're finding these helpful. And I want us to think about Paul's words that he says to the Philippians when he says to them, I thank my God every time I remember you. Or I thank my God in all my remembrance of you is one of the translations. Let's remember what the Apostle Paul's situation is. He's in jail for the cause of Christ. But although he's in jail, he's not in any way downhearted. Joy is one of the overriding themes of Paul's letter to the Philippians. So despite his difficulties and his hardships and his trials, he's nevertheless not focused on them. He's focused on Christ, and that gives him joy. But he's not only focused on Christ, he's also thinking about the believers in Philippi to whom he's writing. And as he thinks about them, he's able to say, I thank my God every time I remember you. The Apostle Paul could think of the wonderful times that he had when he was in Philippi. He could remember the day that he went down to the river and met with Lydia and a group of women who were praying there and was able to share the gospel with them and how Lydia was converted. He remembers how he was arrested and put into jail in Philippi itself and how miraculously God released him from prison that night, although Paul and Silas didn't run away, and how as a result of that the jailer was converted. He could remember how the poor girl who was possessed with a demon and who was being abused by people to get money, how she was wonderfully saved. These were wonderful things that Paul could remember about the folks there. But not only that, this church had taken Paul to their heart. They had supported him, they had prayed for him, and Paul knew that. And every time Paul thought about this congregation, he was filled with thanksgiving to God. The congregation was made up of individuals, and I'm sure Paul, in his own mind, thought about those individuals. And as he thought about them, he's able to give thanks to the Lord. This is a very important issue, I believe. As a minister, it is, of course, your desire that as you think about your congregation, you're able to thank God for them. Sadly, there are many ministers in situations in their congregations where, if truth be told, and if they were to write honestly from their heart, they would not say, I thank my God every time I remember you. Instead, they would maybe say, every time I remember you, I go before God because I'm disillusioned, I'm discouraged, or whatever. The church is made up of individual people, and it is our duty to encourage one another, help one another, work with one another, serve one another. If we're doing that, then as we think of each other, we would be able undoubtedly to take these words of Paul upon our lips. I thank my God every time I remember you. As a minister, that's what I seek to do for the members of my own congregation, and indeed wider afield. But it's not just something that a minister should do. We should be doing it in respect of each other. Think about the members in your congregation. Think about them individually. Are you able to say, I thank my God every time I remember you? Think of yourself as a member of the congregation. Are you living your Christian life? Are you serving the Lord? Are you supporting the work of the church in such a way that the other members in your congregation can say of you, I thank my God every time I remember you? You know, brethren, if we were all being the sort of Christians that we're meant to be, these words would flow from our lips time and time again, as they did from Paul. I thank my God every time I remember you. And there's no doubt that there are people, thankfully a growing number of people, of whom I personally can say, I thank my God every time I remember you. And it's my hope and prayer that that group will grow. But it's also my hope and prayer that for myself as a minister and for others like me who are ministers, that as our people think about us, that they might be able to say before God, I thank my God every time I remember you. Wonderful words of Paul. Wonderful challenge to all of us. Let us be the men and women that this verse calls us to be, so that as others in our fellowship, as other Christians that we know think about us, they are able to say, I thank my God every time I remember you. May God make it so. Every blessing, folks.